Hello, students. So, welcome to this very special session that we are having with me right now is All India third rank, Nivedita. She has secured All India third rank in the new course in that just concluded the December 2021 attempt and the results which was out on 10th of February 2022. So, heartiest congratulations, Nivedita, from me and from Team Unacademy.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, Nivedita, here, definitely there are a lot of insights and input, family, which I think many students are looking out for. What I will do is that I will try to break this entire segment. We'll keep it crisp and we'll have it like a category. We'll have 4 categories in our discussion. The first category definitely would be your result day experience and all. And the second category would be like considering the fact that if you would not have cleared your examination, then what would have been your ranker strategy to bounce back? How you would have fought back? And third would be primarily about your preparation during your study leaves, how you have prepared for it. And the fourth one, majorly, I will speak about the how you started with your articleship and your journey, so that all the audience who has just started their journey in their intermediate final year, they can take the help of it. So just let's get started with it then. So the D-Day, how was it? The experience, you can just unfold it to the audience.
So I think the day before I didn't get much sleep as usual. I think as similar to all students. I think after the exams I was kind of confident that I would clear, but I didn't definitely expect a rank. So around, I think the results came out around 1:30 or so. I think I got a call from the ICA president around 1:50, and I was in complete disbelief. It was a surreal moment.
Okay, so it was the call came before or it was after?
It was before. It was before the results officially announced.
Okay, and how about like it was like you were having a merit rank holder in the previous level as well, or it was for the first time?
No, so I had actually got AR2 and CS Executive. So I had written CS Executive in December 18, and so I wrote IPCC group by group. So actually, I think the marks put together were an All India rank mark, but I wrote group by group. So at that time, so that is there. And CPT, of course, there's no rank. So this is in CA. This is the first rank.
So they say many things in life happen for the first time. So there you are, students. You should never lose hope and always aim for the best. You never know when the lightning would strike. So that is so great. And what was the reaction around of your parents, your friend, well-wishers?
Oh, everybody was jumping, crying, happy tears. Want to remember.
That is a Kodak moment, must say that. So, Nivedita, herein, primarily because there are students who could not get through. Obviously, now you would be an ideal candidate because as you were not expecting like a rank kind of a thing. But considering the fact, because this is important, because many students could not have cleared their examination now, and they would look out for like a ranker strategy. It's all about the mindset, which I always believe, how you actually have your mind and how you bounce back. If supposingly you would not have made it, then what you would have done differently this time around for the May attempt? If you can just.
I think I would have definitely taken out 2 days for myself. Then getting into the mental zone is important. So taken definitely 2 days out for myself, and then chart out a clear timetable for the remaining. I guess this is February, so the exams are in May 15th. So 3 months, a clear strategy for all the 8 subjects. At least again 3 or 4 revisions, because this is already done. We just got to revise again. So 3 or 4 revisions along with at least a couple of mock tests, because I gave 1 mock test during my first go. So if I would have stepped it up to 2 mock tests, and that would have been my plan. Yeah. So the clear timetable from day 1 should have definitely helped.
So you would have raised your bar, students. What she said it very importantly, that she already gave 1 test in her first term, which she already has cleared now. But if she would not have done it, she would have raised her performance. That's exactly what is required, students, from all of you. Just keep that in mind. It's a very important input. Raise your bar. So what I could not have done earlier, I would have made it sure that I would have filled that particular gap. Did you feel that any subject was something that you would have like specifically would have targeted to fill the gap, or you thought that otherwise you were pretty much comfortable with all the 8?
I guess even in my first go, auditing was a bit tough. Well, I think my first marks was in auditing. And it was mainly because the subject was too vast. And I couldn't, cut down my revision notes to, 1.5 days. Because I revised my entire portion in the 1.5 days. That's why I was a bit scared even going into the exam. So I guess that again if I were to get a second chance, I would have made my notes more crisp and attempted to revise the entire portions before the day and a half before exams. So that would have it would have given me more confidence during the exams.
So first, you would have targeted auditing. That would have been the first paper which we thought that, which is a gray area of your entire 8 papers. So students always keep this point in mind. Like if now, as she said it correctly, that still we have time of 3 months. It's an ample time. Ideally, as what I can make it out, what Nivedha is suggesting, try to target some of the weak link that you have, which you would have already identified. Go all out on that. Make, as she said it very correctly, make your crisp notes so that you can revise as many number of times as possible. If not for the entire subject, at least for the difficult topics. If that be the case, if some topics are something you considered it bit is troublesome, those are the topic students that you could have targeted. Excellent, Nivedita. Now, Nivedita, like your preparation strategy that you have taken in your study leaves, like how you have gone about handling your entire study leave, because this would be helpful for those students who are appearing for May 22 and even for those who would be going for November 22. I think they will also hit the study leave very soon. So how much study leave that you have taken and how you have planned your entire the revisions and all?
So yeah, I tried to finish all my classes before my study leave started, so that didn't interfere during the. So I got 5.5 months. I went on leave from June 15th. So so that the classes don't interfere with my flow, I made it a point to finish it before the study leave. So I was able to complete it by May end or June first week. So able to complete all the classes, and then I had a plan of 3 or 4 revisions. That is, the first revision would be around 18 days for 2 subjects, which is one of practical, one of theory. The second revision was 5 days for each subject. Third was 3 days for each subject, followed by a mock. And then with the remaining time, whatever chapters that I was not very confident with, I had gone through that again. And then it was the day and a half before the exams. So around four revisions for the much more important or challenging topics I had before the exams.
Okay, so Nivedita, I just wanted to understand this particular part. Like, say for example, you have given, like in the first particular revision, it was for 18 days for every subject.
18 days for 2 subjects.
2 subjects. So you at a time you were doing 2 subjects.
Yeah.
Okay, and you made it a point that in 18 days you have to finish it off those particular 2 subjects.
Yeah.
And as you have said it, that if supposingly you found some of the topics which you were not comfortable, you ensure to keep it for the subsequently you made a plan for even those things. That is something somewhere towards the end.
Yeah. So I had margin of safety, that some slack in the timetable, so that whatever goes wrong, that is wherever I need some more time, I was able to come back.
Okay, so that you have decided to do it towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there any such topics that you found that you need to revisit towards the end? Any of the subjects?
I think direct taxes was a bit vast, so I had a couple. I had some topics in all the subjects, which I go through again. Direct taxes and auditing. So I was, even at that point, I was kind of sure that I wouldn't be able to complete all the topics in the day and a half before exams. So some topics I wanted to complete. I think my exams was from December 5th, something from November 21 to November 30. Some important topics during that time, so that I would remember something for the exams, even if I'm not able to revise it during the day and a half before exams. I was at least the 10 days back, I would have revised it. So I think concentration, especially in theory, the retention is kind of, for me, it is low. I'm not able to remember all the key points, especially because it's theory. Even if it's concepts of practical, it is okay. But so since I had to be in constant revision, so I had those topics from November 21 to 30, the last 10 days.
Perfect. So this is actually, students, very important thing which Nivedita, you have everyone has got a constraint of the time. So please plan the way she has in fact suggested. Like obviously for those who appeal from May 22, November 22 can directly borrow the leaf from what she has said it. But those who would be appearing for May 22 and they have got this particular, at least they have gone through it once, those who could not have made it. and they plan it in the way she is suggesting. In fact, that's a really good plan, because what happens generally, Nivita, what we find is that, like, supposedly, like 5 days I've given for a subject, and something goes wrong in that. No? So they try to stretch that number of days. But if you do a stretching in that, what happens? It will then come up and create a dent on the other subjects for which you have already have did allocation. In fact, I find that this is actually a general plan which students do, and maybe this is where the downfall arises, because the planning goes haywire. So I think that is one of the very important things, students, which Nivedita has said it. But yeah, it takes a lot of courage to keep those naughty areas towards the end, because obviously that is a courage which is required. But that is what it is. You cannot have the best of everything. You need to, in fact, either you can ensure that your plan, you stick to your plan, and as she has given that towards the end, she will address those difficult topics. You also can fit in. You think, Nivedita, if supposingly now, since you have experienced an entire cycle of your study leave, you would have done anything differently, or you would have still followed the same particular pattern?
I guess so. The mock that I wrote was, I had given myself 3 days to prepare to write the mock. So that was, one of my revisions. That was one part of my revisions. But a day and a half before exams, if I had taken a day and a half before the mock test, I would have been better prepared for the exams. Because, the day and a half, the 16 days of exams was very relentless. There was no breaks in between. So I found it difficult, kind of mentally to get into the groove, at least for the first 2 subjects. So I had 5 days anyway. So December 5 was the exam. I had started preparing for December 1st. And SFM, again, I liked SFM, so that was also okay. So I had to get into the groove after, 2 days, 2 exams. But had I planned my mock test in such a way that I had given myself only 1.5 days, then it would have been probably better. Because I had given myself 3 days. There was an extra cushion that I had given myself.
Okay. So that is how it should have been. So, students, a very important point that she has said it. Please keep in mind that stick to your plan. Obviously, depending upon you're comfortable, you can juggle it up, like that the gray areas, how you in fact attend the gray areas of the topic. That flexibility, everyone can have it individually. But what is more important that is coming out from her is stick to the plan. So that is one thing which has been there, that you will have to keep a days for those topics which is difficult, which you may not be that comfortable later on, but you cannot let your plan go haywire. And Nirvita, you have done the mock for all the 8 or selected subjects? All. Perfect. And anywhere in during your time of preparation, self-study, study leave, you felt that the things are not working the way it should have been. How you have bounced back at that time? What was the source of motivation? Because obviously you would all know that it is a very difficult period for the students. Many times they become isolated, they are cut off from the world. Somehow they require that particular motivation to really bounce back, whatever it be. The morale is down. I think that even you would have gone through those stressful period, or the period of anxiety. How you have bounced back? That is very important, in fact.
So the problem I had is that, my first revision was probably in the beginning of June 15th. That is the beginning of June mid. So I took law first. So when I was coming back to the second revision, I was able to remember only 30% of what I had studied, because it was 3 months later. And again, I think one point that I would change my study plan is keep in constant touch, because I finished 3 months, then came back after 3 months. So that 30% was only there in the mind. So I think I would change that, where, build some top-up revision on a weekly basis. I think that would have better helped. So I think that time I was very down, because I had studied so thoroughly, and coming back to only 30% was a bit demoralizing. And so again, we had to push through it. There's no other goal. I had a plan. I had to go through it, and we just hope for the best against the second revision. And third revision was again okay. So third revision I was able to remember everything. Then fourth revision, tough parts I was again able to remember everything. So yeah, we just have to get through. We have to accept that some plans might not work out for the best way. There are always scope for improvement. But I guess we just have to believe in ourselves that whatever we're doing is going to work. Our efforts is never going to fail. If you're putting efforts, if you're feeling demotivated, just put in extra efforts. I think that that can push through the mental block. And of course, I always believe that my effort. I've never believed in the results. I always believe in my efforts. So whenever I feel demotivated, I push through. So as I said, I would step up my efforts and get through it. That's how I think I got through my second division, because I was able to remember only 40% at least of theory subjects. So after division, I felt more comfortable.
Okay, so that was a difficult prime students. It's all about the test that you have it in the process. In fact, it is as she said correctly. The results is just an outcome of the process that you actually have gone through it, and how you handle that tough time is ultimately decide your ultimate outcome. If there that would have been two choice. One is to just give it up, or just thereafter give a very lax performances thereafter. You would have bounced back strongly, stepping up the effort the way Nivedita has done. These are the point students you all should in fact take it up, because ideally it is all, this is what it's all about. Everyone comes to that difficult point in their study preparation. How you react to that ultimately will decide what will be your final outcome. Not about primarily thereafter it bogs down you, it saddles you down, and you become frustrated. It creates a dent on your morale, motivation. If those things happen, then I think the devil has been the winner to get the best, to actually achieve what it was meant to be. And Nivedita, like here, and one important point which Nivedita has shared, students just keep that in mind. Like the topics she would have thought as the law paper that she is suggesting, she would have ensured to would have made that in her weekly plan. The difficult topics got a second chance of a revision, so that the gestation period is not that long, the gap is not long, so that the memory. So this is one important learning that students you can all keep in mind, that every week, maybe a day or so, keep for the difficult topics which you have encountered for your revision, so that one day, 6 days, like 7 days a week, 6 days for your subject, and maybe one day you can ensure to revise for a difficult topic. I think even that could help, as per we can learn from the experience of the students who have gone through that grind, and whatever the best that they can say about it. And Nivedita, like that 5 months or that study leave period, what was your day was looking like? Like what was your day was looking like? How you have gone through that?
So I'm not an early out. So I study through the night, and at least until 2 o'clock. So I get around 7 hours of sleep, and then yes, so it should be around 15 to 16 hours of study a day, and other than sleeping and eating, that's it.
And then what?
So there on social media, all of the social media is still activated, and I don't believe in. I believe in controlling myself, not deactivating everything and just being cut off from the world. I got a lot of information from social media only about exams, and preparation, and all of those things. So I during breaks or during eating, I wish to go through social media. But other than that, yeah, 14 to 15 hours or 15 to 16 hours a day is how it looked for me.
And like any strategy, like I think you used to start the day at 9:30 or so, and you start with studies. So like your strategy for the first particular, like the first session, any thought that okay, this is what I will be doing, 4 hours, 3 hours, difficult areas, like that, something breakup you had in mind, or you just went with the flow?
Yeah, so I had for a given subject, I had that these are the chapters that I'm going to complete over this such period of time. So that was organized as one difficult, one easy, or one vast and one small topic, or something like that. And of course, I had two subjects at a time, so I had one theory and one practical. So I took practical in the morning because I was just going to get in the groove, and after lunch in the evening, through the night, I did theory subjects, because I said I work better in the night. So yeah, so I took so many would not agree with that. Theory in the night is going to be kind of difficult, but I kind of be more alert during the night.
Okay.
So theory during the night.
Students, this is an important point, because when these are important things that is coming out, know your best time that you perform the best, and maybe you can use those time for your difficult area. But I think Nivedita, you also agree that the start is important in the day. Like you start better, that gives you the motivation to really continue, rather than get to stuck and maybe to do something which you not. I think the good start is half the battle won for that particular day, isn't it?
Definitely.
Students, just keep this point in mind, because Nivedita has, in fact, this is a strategy which I think really works. In fact, I also concur to that. I remember my particular study leave of 2.5 months. This was the same thing. I have done it. In fact, the start was very critical, and then that motivated to really step up during the day. Like I never had this particular thing, but I always step up during the day. But it all depended upon what was the start. And this momentum that motivated to really achieve a higher targets and all those stuff, increase of efficiency, productivity. I think students keep this in mind. This really works. I'm telling you, students, this really works. So it can be anything. It can be an easy topic to go with. That doesn't matter. But the start is the key, and achieve something substantial in that first session of yours, which has been there. What I can just share one more thing is that I used to always plan a night before herein. I think Nivedita, you would have also would have done the same thing. Planning, we would have done it a night before what you are going to do in the next day. Obviously,
Yep.
that is
Yep.
important. Students, because this is one of the blank which is very critical. Students don't plan for the next day. Please do plan for it, because this is a very important gap which is found in many of the students. They don't plan for the next day what they need to do it, and that is one thing that we need to ensure. And when you plan, just keep these inputs what she has given it, like the best time which topic to be picked up and all those stuff. I think these things, micromanagement is also very critical. With the macro management which is already has been defined, you also need to micromanage your days, which are equally critical. Students, don't lose out on that particular small things which are equally important and critical. And social media, students, in fact, but it's important what she has said it. Hear it. You just keep a particular firm control when to really switch on. It should not be on and off depending upon when social media wants you to be in. You need to decide when you need to primarily switch on to those social media and other engagement. So, but be in touch with all the world, because at the end of the day, we are all human beings, isn't it? So it's something of that sort. Uh, Nivedita, thereafter, I think I have covered about this particular thing. About your study, the planning and all. And the last month, I think you have already have covered on this particular part, the days of the examination, how you have approached your day and were planning for that each paper, how you have planned for that day of your examinations.
So FR was the first paper. So I wanted to go the first paper with full confidence. We had a day and a half. So I took the first 4 days for FR. That is from December 1 to December 5.
The examination, how you? Okay, yeah, yeah, please continue.
Sure. So I took from December 1 to December 4 for FR. And I was able to attempt the paper with good confidence, because I had covered all the subjects for FR. That was the 5th revision, so I was able to go FR with the good confidence. And SFM again, that's what I had to get into the group pretty quickly. It was a such a solid grind. And SFM, so I used to come back, take an hour's break. So from 7 o'clock I studied till 12 in a nice sleep. Then start from around 7 o'clock in the morning. And the next day complete. So I took some topics that could have been completed within 4 or 5 hours in the day during the exam. That the day of the exam, that is 7 o'clock in the night to 12 o'clock in the night. So it took some topics that could have been completed easily, not necessarily the important topics, but which can be quickly completed. So 7 to 12, and the most important topics during the next day, the day full day that is available. That was covered from 7 o'clock in the morning again till I think 11 in the night. I wanted to get a good night's sleep again for the day before the exam, so 11. And usually I woke up only at 7 o'clock again during the day of the exam as well, because I didn't want to be sleep deprived and go and brain fail. And I kept as little as possible during the day of the exam, because that's going to give more anxiety. And I completed I think MTPs and RTPs on the day of the exam. The revision, again, the second revision of the RTPs and MTPs I kept during the day of the exam. And yes, I closed everything by 1 o'clock. Go in the hall, sit, and start by 1:45.
And like obviously, like for the examination day, because one of the part which students struggle is that to complete their papers, like the revision part. So obviously, it implies that like they haven't done that particular revision. I mean, have you made a strategy as to for the day of the examination, what to do and how much to do? Was this well defined well before the examination?
Yeah, so my revision plan actually started backwards. I started to plan from the day of the exam backwards, the 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and my studies. That's how I planned initially. But as I started revising, that plan got modified a bit. That this is what I'm going to focus on. This is what I'm not going to focus on. But that's how I planned initially. That is, this is what I'm going to cover during this day, and these are topics that I have to probably come back again. during the day of the exam. That is, for example, in auditing, I have definitely completed Professional Ethics Companies Act by the night. I have time for more topics during the day. So stuff, yeah, the overall plan like that I definitely had. And we definitely know what is the time that is required to complete all the topics from all the previous revisions. So with that, with an overall plan in mind, I did have a plan in mind, going into the exams, going into the 16 days.
Okay. So, and herein, like for example, if I have to say like FR and FR was of course papers were not even much issue, but like topic like SFM and SCMP, which was there, where you already have highlighted which is the practical question that you need to refer. Were you referring the practical questions also on that day where you have marked those things?
Yeah, definitely. So, during my revisions, first I had marked a few important questions, which I went through in second revision. From second revision, I had cut down the questions. These are anyway we already know these questions, so cut down the questions, revise it in third. Same way for the exams. So I had a clear a set of questions that I wanted to practice during the exam days.
Okay, so friends, very, very important this particular point. As you are going to revise it further, please ensure to cut it down the number of questions, because at the end of the day, many of the questions are so repetitive. There are only few important points in the question. You may think of trying to take across your notes, make your notes, but do cut down. But as she said it correctly, you also need to refer those questions on the day of the examination. Okay, so even that needs to be referred. You cannot. I think you'll recommend strongly, Nivedita, to refer those questions which you have selected.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Especially because for SAMP, even though the theory is around 70 marks, 65 to 70 marks, practical questions, we need confidence also for the practical questions. So definitely, revising that will also, give us more confidence and trust towards those practical topics as well.
Okay. Fine. And how like about this particular okay, so these are the things for students. Just I will suggest you what she's saying it correctly, that please ensure that the day of the examination is also well planned. And any of the paper, Nivedita, your paper went bad or was not up to your mark, and what was that? Any paper?
Again, it was auditing because I was less confident going to the exam because I had completed my entire revision. So I was able to write everything, but I knew that it was not my 100% because I could have, again, I would have studied 10 days back, a couple of topics. So if I had revised those topics the day before the exam, I would have been able to, write better. So I think auditing was one such paper.
And then once you were done with your auditing paper, obviously you would not have felt that better. So how you have reacted thereafter, because that is also the most critical part. Here students in fact comes and they actually were you going to the social media on the day of the examination to check out what is the situation and all those things?
I didn't check out the CA pages. I avoided the CA page. So I know.
Generally, what students do, I'll tell you what students do is that they, once the paper doesn't go well, they in fact go ensure that how they check for others also. They've spent some time in the YouTube and other things and all, which I strongly feel that on that particular point of time they should try to avoid these kind of things, which is something which kills the time. And so, what motivated you for the law? How you have bounced back quickly in that case after knowing the fact that auditing was not up to the mark?
So I was so if not for auditing, I have to catch that up in law because I know FR and SFM went good well. So if not for auditing, I have definitely catch up in law, and I also liked law. So I think that also helped because that was a subject I liked, and that came after auditing. And I was extra motivated to catch those marks in law.
You are actually fortunate. I remember actually the best part for you was that law was your better paper. I remember my paper was costing in my days. Costing was terrible. And the next paper was again ISCA, which was MICS. So even to read that was thing. So costing was terrible at that time. But the only motivation which I can share students was that out of the three, I was thinking the way the paper went was so horrible that I was not sure of clearing the paper. But the only thing which motivated was that out of the three, if I can get at least an exemption in a paper or so, that will reduce my load in the next attempt. That was a different thing that I ended up clearing and ended up getting a rank also. But that was a different story. But this was the only motivation for that I had. That at least by the next three, if I can get an exemption in one or two, this will at least help me to reduce my load in the next attempt. So please, students, keep in mind, you have to stay motivated for the last paper. You have to give your best shot. All your hard work for the 3 months and the 6 months, you cannot fizzle it out on the day. Just that day does not, you cannot belittle your hard work. If you do that, in fact, you are insulting everyone around you, your own self, family who have been there, family throughout this entire journey. So you just can't be disappointing the people who have been stood by you for all that particular point, and more importantly, for your own self. Because at the end of the day, we cannot bluff ourselves. It is a truth which has always been there with us. We just need to be very clear that we have put our effort. Let's not give it up till that particular last paper. So that is the case. So this is what I think I can say about it. And I will, in fact, now will go on the larger particular area of your articleship and the other particular how you have traded off your intern and your subject preparation. But before that, any specific that you would want to connect to the May 22 students and November 22 students? Anything specifically, if there are still things that the thoughts are running on before we come to our larger discussion about the articleship and the other aspect?
I think, as I said, constant revision is really, really important. The subject is vast, but still, that was one point that I took from my own preparation. That is, you cannot slack on that constant revision. So even though you might be demotivated, you might have other problems. You might be missing a few festivals. I missed a lot during that was the festival time in October, November. It is okay. This is one time that you get. And please don't slack on the revisions. Please don't, belittle, as I said, don't belittle yourself. You'll have to maintain this confidence around 3 months or 6 months. Then, you have a time of life after that.
Nivedita, one question has been asked by Sunny, and it's a very important question that he is asking that how you approach for your paper writing, specifically how you have utilized that 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. So I just went through everything quickly. So for instance, what are the adjustments that were given for instance, in DT, what are the adjustments that were given? And made a quick, note of which question I'm going to attend first. The first 3 questions, I was like, this is the order that I'm going to attend. And then came back and see which question I'm going to, leave and which is the 4th and 5th. So I made a plan, and of course, MCQs were not given. MCQ papers, MCQ booklets were not given during the first. That is really important. I didn't realize that until the first day of the exam that they don't give the papers in the first 15 minutes. So I missed reading that in the admit card. And then, no, we're not going to give the MCQ booklets. So yeah, that was quite a bit of shock. But because it was auditing, it was okay. It didn't take much time to you don't have to practice or work it out and do the answers. Unlike in DT, which it took a bit of time to work it out and do the MCQs. I think for MCQs again, DT was a different approach other than from other papers.
Okay. You started I assume that you have not started with MCQ first. So you have highlighted the first descriptive paper. You started with the descriptive questions.
Yeah. So for auditing and law, I finished the MCQs first because that took only like 10-15 minutes. So I finished that first and then came to the questions. But for DT and IDT, I finished the first question, that is a 14-mark question, then came back to the MCQs. Because MCQs are going to take a bit of time, but IDT MCQs were, a bit simple, but DT took a bit of time. DT definitely did take a bit of time.
So friends, in fact, I will also say same thing, 15 minutes you're spending the time with the descriptive questions. So obviously if you select any relatively confident of 2 or 3 particular good questions. So again, I strongly recommend, even she has said about this one, that start with the descriptive, which you actually know the best, and select the order of the questions. And maybe thereafter go to the MCQ, because MCQ this time, as you also would have appreciated, is MCQ was tricky. And more importantly, it took a lot of time for getting the solution, and it was not worth the kind of marks which was being allocated. And knowing that paper was so lengthy, it was also one of the questions which I want to ask you: did you struggle to complete any of the papers?
FR was a bit of struggle to complete. I completed, but FR was a bit of struggle. DT, I knew from the first itself that it's going to be a time crunch. So I was in 100% speed from the first question. Because of that, I was able to complete by 4:40. But FR was a bit of a stretch.
20 minutes before this thing you've completed DT?
DT I had completed, yeah.
So it was all, I should say that it was all about the selection.
Yeah,
the selection that you did. And definitely the speed and every executions are also equally important, but the selection, I think, would have played a role taking up the descriptive first and MCQ a bit later. In fact, I will say that the case studies and the MCQs are tricky, and more importantly, 15 minutes you have spent time with descriptive questions and all. And by then you would have already processed the answers also, many of couple of questions. So if you already processed the answer, as she was talking about it, that you need a good start. So the same applies even for the day of the examination. You need a good start at the same time. So that is how it was. So in FR, while you were struggling to complete your paper, at the end, half an hour, how you have decided like what you will do like to do whatever now you know, or try to still complete? What was strategy in the last half an hour?
No, I wanted to complete the paper. So in all the exams that were written in my life, I've always wanted to complete my paper, whatever it may be. So at around 4:15, I realized that I'm running out of time. So I stepped up my game, stepped up my speed. I think for the last question, I was not able to do all the steps. I just went to the answer. I was not able to demonstrate all the steps. Probably I lost a few marks there. But I managed to complete all the answers. But yeah, the few steps I might have missed here and there.
Okay. So if I ask you one thing, Nivedita, if supposing you are in a situation in the examination that you have got last 20 minutes time and you have got 2 questions to attempt, will you try to complete one full question, or you will go for 2 questions, still maybe 50-60% of each, and negotiate that way? What will be your strategy?
I do 60% of each.
60% of each. Exactly. I was in fact trying to look out, because this at least means the examiner knows that you know that second question also, and he can give the benefit of doubt that okay, fine. He can also understand the paper is lengthy, but if you have not have written anything, then how do we know that you know the concept? So you need to at least do that substance material, the substance over the form. So I think this is one thing which you can do it. Please keep that in mind, because the papers are lengthy these times, and that is what it has been there. And now we can switch to your last particular part, Nivedita, quickly, like your articleship journey, how it was and how it helped you, and maybe your overall preparation in that during your articleship, how you planned your studies, because I think still it would have been challenging to balance both, isn't it?
So I did my articleship from SR Battery Boy, which is a part of EY. And so during my 3 years, as I said before, I made a point to complete all the classes by the 3 years time. That is the articleship before the study leave time. And all of my peers, colleagues also supported. So I had my work hours planned, I had my study hours planned. So whatever it is 3 hours, 4 hours a day that I'm going to devote to exams. Whatever my work time may be. So 3 or 4 hours either to studies or to classes is definitely devoted. And I didn't miss out on all weekends, but still my weekend outings were cut down. It was obviously cut down, but due to lockdowns and all, that also was a point. But yes, I made a point to have the work hours and study hours planned accordingly.
Okay, so that 3 hours of the daily time you were using to watch your lectures and classes and everything, and yes, maybe your own self-study a bit here and there.
Yeah, definitely. So for a few subjects, I was watching the classes plus preparing whatever was taught in the class, so that it just goes in the mind that way.
Okay, so you're doing your self-study as well. While you are doing your lectures and classes, you're still doing self-study.
So I think classes go on for around 2.5 hours. I think at least half an hour of revision of whatever went on that day would definitely help in retaining the concepts better.
This is very important part for those who have made the attempt May 23, 24, so on. Keep in mind this, while you are doing your classes, half an hour revision is equally critical. One query is being there, Nivedita, one query is that they are spellbound with your speed of execution. How you have enhanced your speed to complete DT paper like 2 hours, 40 minutes. So people are really spellbound and they're asking about this particular question because they have really struggled to complete the papers. How you have enhanced your speed? Like, was it?
So yeah, I wrote mocks. I wrote one mock and I had written a few chapter-wise tests as well. So during my preparation, I took a chapter-wise test and unit-wise test, in fact, and wrote it. So I made a point to complete it within a set period of time. Even though it's not being monitored, I made a point to complete it in a set period of time. And yes, because I knew from FR, my experience in FR, that DT is going to be lengthy. When I looked at the paper, it was going to be lengthy. So FR, I made a mistake that I started a bit slow, being the first exam and everything. I started a bit slow. Because of that, I struggled in the end. So DT, from the first question, from the first 14-mark question, I made a point to, because the provisions were coming to me. I didn't have to think about it, but putting pen to paper, I had to step up my speed.
I will
and
say,
MCQs.
Yeah, please say MCQ, how you handled the MCQ part?
Yeah, MCQs, I think 1 or 2 questions I was just stuck. I kind of felt that, my answer was definitely right, and that was not there in the options. Something like that. So I lost like 5 minutes in just one question, which I wanted to be right, because I was pretty sure that it's not going to be, I'm definitely right, but it's not there in the options. You just have to give up questions like that. We can't do anything. Something even after doing it for 5 times, you're getting the same answer. You just have to move on from that question.
So students, please don't hold on to the MCQ. Please move on, because MCQ will not have much of marks. That temptation of going for a second look should be avoided as much as possible, at least on the MCQ part, because MCQ will not be giving that particular that marks. It's not worthy of it. So keep that in mind, because the temptation is always there. We are so near, but where we are going on may not be knowing. But one thing which I can come to know, I think, while I'm speaking with you, Nivedita, the speed itself is in your thought. While I'm speaking, I'm getting that vibes itself, the clarity of thought and the speed. Students to execution also require the speed of the thought, which I think she has it primarily. The focused mind is what is the point which is to be there, and the speed of execution comes in the speed of the thoughts, wherein you can jump from one layer to fourth layer. These are the things which is very critical, students. So stay focused, have the ability to focus more on this topic, on the subject, so that if need be, you are in a position to jump from first step to the third step, eliminating the second. That requires that level of focus and all, so that if you can jump on from one to second and what is needed to be done if you are in that crunch situation. Student, this is a very easy thing then done. It requires that practice. So it is not that it will come in a flash on the day of the examination. It will come through the hard work, which is something which Nivedita can suggest in this case. So Nivedita, again, I will congratulate you for your splendid performances, and I'm sure that this is going to go a long, long way in your career, in your life. What do you expect to do further now? What do you aim to do?
Yeah, I'm taking one day at a time. I wanted to get through and enjoy this weekend, and then come back to my campus and all of the job, further career guidance.
So you will be taking across a job and maybe study further, or?
Yes, so I'm looking at other professional courses as well, like international courses. So
okay.
Yeah. So I will still have my CS professional to do. So that is my first priority now.
Perfect. But I think rank is there, so you could definitely, is this something which you will have a preference. So I wish you, Nivedita, all the best to whatever that you do further in your life. You deserve this particular moment. Just cherish this moment. Hold on to this, because this is also going to fizzle out. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Take care. And one particular students, I'll just, before I leave, students, I'll just very quickly do the announcement of our programs which we are having in Unacademy, students. So quickly herein. So students, here the Yodha series, students, that we have started off, which will be going to start on 16th of February, students. So here this is for November attempt primarily. Although we also have the crash courses for Hindi as well as in English. 100% English crash courses are also there, which is going to start from 15. And Hindi crash courses or the fast track is also there. So these are the particular Yodha batch, which is a regular batch for the November attempt. So these are the things. CA Championship, students, there is a reward which you will find it in the description box. So anyone who would have taken the subscription, herein they get 10 times of their subscription refund award. So that is what it is. Various particular plans which is there, iconic, it's all cost effective at this point of time. Students, you can just take a note of it. 4-month subscription for the entire group is coming to 7,776 and so on and so forth. 20% is the discount, students, which you are having it right now. And you put, right, actually it's 10%, but if you put the code CADS, you get additional 10% discount. So it becomes 20% discount to the subscription plan. And you can do the entire group, say for in 4 months, entire group at 7,776. So this is a very subsidized, right, which is a limited period offer. And the benefit of this subscription, students, you all know, interactive classes, live lectures are there unlimited. You can also see in the recorded platform, so on and so forth. These are the few of our star performers. Like I was privileged to mentor some of them. Bishal, Esik Raj and the others who are there in this particular this thing. And so I'm privileged to serve to all of you students. So these are the things. And then thereafter, students, herein, combo subscriptions are iconic program, flagship program is there, students. Accordingly, herein, this is actually for starting with 12 months, 24 months, and 36 months. So that is how it goes generally for a long-term batch. But we also have the recorded lectures now, students. We are also in the pen drive and G drive. Unacademy is also in the pen drive and G drive. So they are giving the fast track in Hindi presently, the pen drives for May 22. So you can definitely avail that scheme also, in which the textbooks and everything comes, and again at a very subsidized price. I remember it is around 14,000 or so for the entire group, and that comes with your entire pen drive and the books and everything, which is applicable for the iconic subscription. These are the features of the iconic subscription. So you can avail the same, students, and that is what it is. Secure yourself and excel. Now it should be your moment, students. This is something that the rankers can motivate now. They have given their important inputs, tips, and advice, leaving you further to continue this journey. Journey of what? Journey of celebrating the hard work. It is celebration of the hard work ultimately, which is there. Results, as she has said it correctly, it's merely an outcome of this entire process. So we are celebrating this process, students, with their results. It's a time for us to really celebrate the hard work. At the end of it, it is all which is there in our hand, isn't it? With that, let's sign off, students. And Nivedita, again from my side and from the team and the academy, all the best. Do well. God bless to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.